Welcome in, Buckeye backers. We are all national champions right now. Oh, it feels good to say that. 2025 national championship. We got it. Atlanta was good to us. The 12-team college playoff was good to us. Life is good, man. Being a Buckeye is great. It's great to be a Buckeye, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
I got something special for everyone. I hope everyone gets to see this. I got it out on social media, but this pulls at the heartstrings just a little bit, this intro. So without anything else, we're getting into this intro. Man, it's good. It's great to be a Buckeye, man. Great to be a Buckeye.
No great accomplishments are ever achieved without going through adversity.
To present to you the 2025 College Football National Champion, Coach Ryan Day and the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Ohio against the world.
Oh, come, let's sing Ohio and song to alma mater.
He goes back down.
While our hearts beat bounding through, and joy which death alone.
Playing this play, you move Jeremiah Smith and you come back to him. Notre Dame completely loses him, but it happened.
Tennessee and Oregon. Had to play that tonight. Judkins breaks free. Richard Judkins into sprint.
The
And the fire run him down at the
time and change will surely show how firm thy friendship. Ohio.
Buckeyes are national champions. Real quick, before I get into it, man, I got to check out what's going on in the locker room. I got to do it, man. I know you don't want me to, but Squirrel, national champions. Doug Shepard getting us in the locker room. It's a great day, week, month, and year to be a Buckeye. Hawkaholics, congratulations, fellas. You guys deserved it. Time for a dynasty. Before we start talking about dynasty, we got to go back, all the way back to 11/30/2024. How were you feeling about 4 p.m.? How did you feel? Were you pissed? Were you disappointed? Were you in shock? Maybe like me, you were all three. You couldn't decide what your emotions were, but you know for damn sure when you woke up the next morning on the 31st, knowing that your rivals had bragging rights for another year. Again, it happened. Again, you felt like you were the bottom of the bottom in college football. Everything we thought, this was the national title team. This was Day's chance. This team returned this much talent. We had to win it. Had to win it all. All right? And we just felt like there wasn't a chance. We were making the playoffs, but we were defeated. We had a couple weeks off, 3 weeks, a month off. And then 12/21/2024, Neyland North comes up. The Vols talking all kinds of talk. They're coming in. Internet chatter galore. They are going to take over our stadium. And when I got there, I was in that Tuttle parking garage right across from the stadium. I go all the way to the top. I take a look around and I see deadness. There's nothing around. The only thing I see is a couple of orange tents. And I'm like, I'm doing my live and there's nothing around. Nothing around. Orange tents. I was like, oh, this is bad, man. This is not good. Did we lose our fan base? No. They'll show up. They're just drinking. They're drinking. They'll be there. Then I got in the stadium and I was walking around on the field and see these fans showing up in Ohio Stadium in record numbers. They were there first. They were in that stadium before Ohio State fans arrived. They were excited. They were ready and they were confident. And I hear Rocky Top just blaring, man, blaring. And I'm like, holy shit, they did it. They took over the shoe. We have officially lost our fan base. But then when that game started, when ball met foot, that first pass to Jeremiah Smith, whoa, we're back. We are back. Holy shit, what just happened? And they just kept on going. Pedal to the floor, kept going. Wasted that team from the SEC. All right, so maybe that was a one-off. Then comes January 1st. It's a new year, 2025. The Rose Bowl, the granddaddy of them all, the Big Ten champions, 13-0, undefeated, in the most romantic place to watch a college football game I can ever think of. Man, it was beautiful. I came out of there wined and dined and ended up pregnant. Once again, though, man, this team came out hot. Dan Lanning and the Ducks, they had no chance, man. No chance whatsoever. After that, we had a new feeling in Buckeye Nation. Ryan Day just resurrected Buckeye Nation. The fan base is back, baby. We are back. The Buckeyes are back. January 10th, 2025. Texas in the Cotton Bowl. Buckeyes fans were starting to get a little confident. No one could take us on. The media was confident in the Buckeyes. Jeremiah Smith was unguardable. You couldn't touch him. He was doing whatever he wanted. This one was a little more suspenseful, ladies and gentlemen. It was a game. That was until Captain Jack said, enough's enough, man. We will defend. You give us 1 inch and we will defend it. And he housed that 82 yards right through the heart of Texas. That brings us to this week, baby. January 20th, 2025, the national title game. What we've all been waiting for. We're here. The talk. We are going to man up against Jeremiah Smith. Never been so confident. I've never been so confident since the Michigan game. And wow, was I confident. But that confidence scared me because everyone else was thinking the same thing. The Buckeyes are going to wax them. Then we came out, and man, we had that dagger out ready to stab. But then faltered a little bit. The turnover. The gas was not completely hitting the engine, man. Something wasn't firing in that third quarter to the fourth quarter. But Howard, you got to give him credit, man. Goes on an historic run, starting 13 of 13, and the line blocked perfectly. Henderson blocked perfectly. That pass from Howard to a perfectly run route by Jeremiah Smith, it was a thing of beauty and way to end the dramatic season that ended in a national championship, man. How are your emotions now, dude? How are they? How is the locker room feeling? Man, Vegas, Ryan Day now has reached that peak. You said not yet. He's still climbing. He hasn't reached that peak. How you feeling now, brother?
First off, that was a hell of a monologue, man. I love that.
That's all right.
Man. I thought that was great.
I'm so happy. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. I'm just happy, man. I'm a Buckeye again.
I agree. And in the instant first reaction from me was relief. I'll be honest with you. When that clock hit 0, it felt like it was the first time I could breathe in 2 months. That's how it felt. And so I don't even remember instantly celebrating, just that relief and that breath coming out. And I think how you illustrated that perfectly describes the emotional roller coaster that we as Ohio State faithful had to go through. And first and foremost, we need to apologize to Ryan Day. I'll be the first to admit it. Coach Day, I was wrong. I was one of those people on December 1st that morning questioning in all sincerity whether or not he was the right coach for the Ohio State University. I said it for 3 weeks. I just wasn't sure he had it. Well, he proved us wrong in having it and then some. And that's where we need to start as Ohio State faithful. But where I look at the journey and everything you outlined is, yes, the destination was key, but this journey was a journey about family, about growth, about maturation, and really coming together with adversity. And that's where my look at this, especially listening today, when you go from the national perspective to the local perspective, and I take it personally when the national perspective has been so wrong about the Ohio State fan base and saying we were wrong. I want to make it perfectly clear. The Ohio State fan base was not wrong in how we felt about Ryan Day on December 1st. Ohio State fan base knew the talent on this team. They knew the elite coaching that we had on this team. They knew that its bar was where we're sitting today, was national championship. And at that point in time, this team was not meeting those expectations. So a fan base being angry and a fan base saying, we believe in you, live up to these expectations, and the coaching staff coming together with the players, having a lot of heart-to-heart conversations, a lot of family-type conversations, rallying around that adversity and proving to everybody what they can do. I think that's where a lot of the media and a lot of everybody is missing this, where the fan base was right, but they were right on December 1st, and now everyone is right in clearly saying Coach Day is the coach of this team. He has that national championship on his resume. Not a lot of coaches can say that. He's up there now with Meyer and Tressel and Woody and Paul Brown. He's in that elite class. He has earned it. He has deserved it. And I could not be more proud of the chemistry and maturity shown by this program over the last 51 days.
Amazing. Just amazing. And you're absolutely right. Day, Buckeye Nation apologizes, man. You did it. You turned it around. You garnered that faith of a team, of a Woody, of the Woody, of the university, of a state, of Buckeye Nation. You're forever in Buckeye Nation history. History, man. The books are going to be written. Everyone's going to want to know what went into that season, what went into that national title season. 10 years in the making. Dude, that's almost a dog's lifetime. You know what I mean? Like, there's kids. My daughter never saw that. Never saw a national title. But last night she did. Last night she did, man.
She did. And here's the thing with the college football playoff. Now it's expanded to 12. I don't know what the future is going to be. I know they're going to go to 14 at some point. We may at some point, even in the future, see 16. I find it highly unlikely you're ever going to see the college football playoff expand to 16 teams. And what's so incredible about this is you were the first. You were the first team to play 4 top 10 teams in a month span. December 20th, January 20th, you played 4 top 10 teams, 3 of which on the road, not exactly favorable environments. Rose Bowl on the West Coast with Oregon, playing in the Cotton Bowl against Texas. So you had some really tough road games, some really tough matchups there, and you were the first. And I'm always a proponent of, I'll believe it when I see it. Guess what? We saw it. And we saw this team do the improbable.
Well, is it time to hit up the locker room? Do I have that? Go ahead, Vegas.
You may, my friend. You may. Let's hear from. We are the pulse of the fans. That's what we want to try to be. So let's hear from them.
This one resonates well with me. Boom. Doug Shepard, always on fire. Like Jeremiah Smith, man, you're always on fire. You got the comments in the locker room going from the start. Thankfully, we never heard Rocky Top again. You know what? We didn't hear it till Ohio Stadium played it. Good old Rocky Top.
It seems like 5 years ago, man. It really does.
Seems like so long ago.
Yeah.
Man, I was on the field after the game, cell phone to face, and was just like, I never had to hear that song. I was never annoyed by Rocky Top. So that's why I love that comment. It resonated well with me and probably everyone else. Some other things in here. We got our Michigan fan. What up, my brothers? More on Mike Germany's later.
Thank you, Mike.
You know what? I like this by Doug too. I was mad the next day, but I never said that Day should be fired. Well, you
And
might not have, but I did. And I owe Buckeye Nation, I owe everyone in the Woody an apology.
Yep.
I think all the media around the world needs to apologize to Ryan Day, and some of them have already.
But
what's that guy's name? That Texas guy apologized.
Sam Acho and
Sam Acho, yeah.
The apology comes from a place of we were right at the time we criticized, but he also proved us wrong. And that's where I think the big piece of all this is missing when saying we were wrong on December 1st to say that. We weren't wrong on December 1st to say that. That's hindsight's 2020 mentality.
Absolutely.
We felt that way because we questioned whether or not he was capable of taking this team to a national championship, and he proved that point this year.
Keith, what's up, my man? Awesome show. Let's go, Bucks. Let's go, Bucks. I didn't even get one yet. Can we get an OH in the locker room? Come on. I got you. OH. Give it back to me, man. It's time. That needs to be blown up right now. Right now. The exec is back for some more. What up, fellas? Howard set a record by going 13 of 13, and it was beautiful. Every minute of that was pure gold.
You're going right into Steve, what he wants to talk about, man. I wanted to hit on the pulse.
Give me some of that.
Game. Now we're trying to blend it a little bit. Yeah.
Riley Leonard deserves some credit, some kind of trophy for the beating he took. The defense was awesome this whole season. They were the heart and soul of the team. We got that. We got the OH. We got the Michigan fan IO. All right.
Mike's good people. And he's right. And we were saving our praise. We were saving our praise a little bit later for Coach Freeman. Coach Freeman squeezed water from a rock with that team. It was incredible what he was able to accomplish with that team. Riley Leonard, again, do I think he's an NFL quarterback? No. Does that kid have more heart and moxie than most people I've ever seen in my life? Yeah, he does. That was incredible. I love 18-play drive, 75 yards. You fall on the ball. Anybody who's played football that's fallen on a ball before, it hurts like hell. It does.
Dude, you can't breathe. You cannot.
You do. You're just wondering what was that just happened. He goes over, pukes on the sideline, is ready to go. I mean, you just got to tip your cap to the
no. Sorry. Go ahead. Tip your cap. I got distracted again from the locker room. It's taking over my life.
Squirrel.
Yeah, I got ADD, especially when I'm this excited. Doug, we weren't talking about you.
No.
This
we were
guy
talking
right
about
here.
Mike. We were
Mike
talking
Germany's.
about Mike.
I know you ain't. You've obviously proved it. In fact, you had your black stripe removed from the locker room. You are officially a member of the locker room, and more to come on the black stripe removal from the locker room next season. But you just earned yourself some of our own little merchandise, Doug. So keep coming back, brother.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, how about that, man? I know we got some good comments in the locker room, but you just want to kind of dive into some of the stats, your thoughts around the game itself. We didn't want to take a lot of the show up talking about the game because we're kind of basking in the glow of the championship.
We don't need to talk about the game. There's no football dissection anymore, man. The season's over. We're the champions.
Hey, Brandon, I want you to save that comment. We're going to be talking about it later in the show. I think it's a great point. We will circle back to that. Thank you for bringing it up, but we're not going to read it right now because we're going to talk about it later.
Yeah. I'll leave it on here for a little bit.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's a real good one.
Some storylines. First of all, things that happened during the game, after the game. Ryan Day's father died on the same date, 37 years ago. Wow. He won a national title on the anniversary of his father committing suicide. Sometimes college football just does it, man. It finds a way to connect you to everything else in life. And it finds a way. And Ohio State's done that with you and me. If it weren't for Ohio State, I wouldn't know you.
Exactly.
I'd never have met Vegas. And he's a good man. Damn good man.
Got you, sir.
man, it's just awesome. You go out anywhere as a member of Buckeye Nation and you do the OH, you do the Go Bucks, you just met a friend. We're a different breed. We're a different breed. Anything else you want to talk about storylines from
No,
the game?
I
After the
just
game?
think I just think in looking back, and that's why I loved your opening monologue about this, because this was a journey unlike any team has ever had to face. Not just the 4 consecutive playoff games, but the fact that 1 year ago, we're not even in the playoffs. We're not even having this discussion. So you want to talk about timing and alignment. The fact that this year came about with the 12-team playoff, the events that transpired on November 30th, how this team rallied around, this is not who we are, this is not our legacy, and blessed with the opportunity to be in a 12-team playoff and prove it when any other year in the history of Ohio State football, this team would not have had that chance. It was a stars aligned type of season. And I think we really need to appreciate this championship, because that is always going to be our expectation, but it ain't going to get any easier.
No, I mean, how many teams or how many players? Who are we going to lose? I mean, this whole team's gone, kind of like Michigan last year. The majority of this team is gone, except for the 2 best players on each side of the ball.
No, I agree. And that was a great point. You know, we talked to our buddy Mike, and we've talked about this too as well. As much as we may not like to admit it, there are a lot of similarities from last year's team with Michigan and this one. And I think a lot of it was built around that family, that camaraderie, those seniors coming back with something to prove, and the chemistry. And it's funny because chemistry is something you typically do not talk about in college sports, because you have so many people leaving so frequently in basketball or football. Maybe they stick around for 3 years, maybe not. Now with the transfer portal, you do see it talked a lot more in professional sports, where you can build around a 12-year veteran, or you can have guys stay on your team for multiple years. But I think the storyline of the last 2 national champions has been chemistry, which I think is going to be an interesting concept to follow in the future of college football, is what teams are having those players that could be drafted, let's say day 2 draft picks. Let's see which one of those are coming back. Which one of them say, no, I want to do this for the greater good. And those are the teams you're going to be eyeing here in the future around national championship contending teams, because they're the ones that can overcome adversity.
Yeah. And when you have that quality leadership, the experience, that matters most. And that's the thing that was gone in football before the last 2 years. Michigan did it. They brought everyone back, man. Everyone came back because they wanted it. They had that goal. They had that drive. They had that passion. Well, this team had the same thing. They just went to it a little different way, man. Had to face that adversity to wake up. The best thing that ever happened to this team, the reason, and I got to put this up there from the exec. I'm sorry. We got to read it. I'm going off script. Gold pants are nice, man. They are nice. But gold trophies, 22 pounds worth of gold-plated trophy that's going to be at a Kroger's near you pretty soon, and a couple other places in Columbus. Starts out in Plain City, by the way. So just so you know, I'll probably be there taking pictures with it. It is better. It's a lot damn better. It weighs more. It looks better in the Woody, and it'll be there forever. When you walk in that trophy case and see that trophy, these memories are gonna stick with you, man, for a lifetime. I still remember 2014, 2002. I remember where I was, what I was doing. I remember my dad being the most frugal person I've ever met in my life. But when they won that game against Michigan, he, without question, I was like, Dad, we getting national championship tickets? He said, yep. I was blown away. What are you doing? You're going to spend thousands of dollars and take us to Arizona? All right, I'm in. And ever since then, every time Ohio State wins a national title, I buy my dad a piece of memorabilia. That's my new tradition, or my old tradition, I guess. So whatever I get, Dad's getting. Papa Buckeye Steve is getting one.
But that's the great story of the last 3 national titles, And now in retrospect, looking on it, you realize that they all, in their own way, overcame some type of adversity, right? The 2002 team, you're 14-point underdogs, maybe one of the most talented college football teams from an NFL perspective I've ever seen put together in the Miami Hurricanes, right? I don't even remember how many draft picks they had, but they had draft pick upon draft pick. They had Hall of Famers on that team. That was an incredibly talented team. Ohio State had no business being in that game. We all know what happened. 2014, you're playing with a third-string quarterback. I'll tell you, in college football, you're pretty much done. I would say at any level of football, you're pretty much done when your second string gets in.
Absolutely.
You played the third string, and not only that, you had to absolutely obliterate Wisconsin to even have a chance at beating out TCU and Baylor. They did that as well, overcame an incredibly good Alabama team and the Heisman Trophy winner Marcus Mariota. And now this story, we've already told it as well, but that's where I think Coach Tressel and Coach Meyer cemented their legacies, not only just by winning, but bringing the team together to overcome these obstacles that the national media thought they could not. And now Ryan Day may have the best story of the three, which is incredible.
Yeah. I don't know if you can overcome that third string quarterback, man. That was something of pure storybook.
It is when you put it in perspective.
And you have that moniker, that name, 12 gauge, just taking shots downfield, trucking people in Alabama in the Sugar Bowl, knocking a starting safety, an All-American, out of the game almost. I mean, he still played, but he wasn't half the man he used to be. Man,
it's all incredible. Again, you can go to the Miami game. I mean, you had Ken Dorsey, you had
hasn't been sacked all season.
You had
in the first 3 drives, he was sacked like 4 times.
I mean, it was just incredible. That old line was multi-talented. I mean, you just look at that Miami roster on paper, and it's mind-blowing the talent that they had. And to think Ohio State, I know they had a lot of talent, a lot of people drafted. Don't want to get into that, but it did not feel the same at that time. And so I just think all 3 are unique, but all 3 really showed us that I think this is a long season. And we're going to get into this a little bit later on what college football seasons are going to start looking like now, really starting this year. But this long season, it is now going to become about overcoming adversity. These undefeated teams, I don't think you're going to see them anymore. And actually, I think it's a detriment.
A couple other things that we have to bring up, we have to talk about. Jeremiah Smith, after the game, in my mind, I was thinking he said not 1, not 2, not 3, but he said, I got 1, I want 3 more. Meaning his plan, I know he was emotionally like on a really high level at that point, but his plan right there at that moment was to stay at Ohio State for 4 years. Do you believe it?
Steve, if he was draft eligible now, he wouldn't be getting past the 2nd pick in the draft to the Browns.
Dude, but this dude's different. He's built different. He is the Maurice Claret of this generation, just with a completely different mindset. Completely different. And Maurice Claret's been in his ear. Did you see him? The champ himself was at the game, taking pictures, celebrating, excited. He was part of this team. He was there every time I was out of practice. Guess who else was there? Maurice Claret. You know what happened when they shuffled all the media out? Maurice Claret stayed.
Yeah.
He was part of the team, man. And
I'll put it to
I can't give enough. That man has so much respect on my book. Like if I was in his shoes, I'd have never came back from that. I would have never came back. I don't think I would. I don't know. I've never been there.
These are 18, 19, 20, 21-year-olds.
Yeah.
I mean, to be able
they
to
are far more mature than I am now.
They really are. And even Maurice Claret, yes, he made some mistakes. Guess what? We all do. But to be able to mature, to overcome those, to accomplish what he has at this point in his career, it's remarkable. But I would say at this point, there is no logical reason whatsoever why Jeremiah Smith should play any more than 3 years at Ohio State. And that is not a knock against Ohio State or anything else. This this young man has a chance to be a once-in-a-generation type talent. I mean, when you're compared to Keyshawn Johnson and Calvin Johnson and guys that are, Hall of Famers, it's very clear this young man wants to play in the NFL and be a Hall of Famer. That is the pinnacle of football excellence.
Mm-hmm.
I can't see any reason why you would stay a fourth year, and I wouldn't blame him at all. I would say
I think
I
everyone
love
that
you've done.
tell him it's time to leave. Talking about this, let's pull up the stats. Let's dive into the stats of the game a little bit. I got to get this comment off real quick, so apologize.
Yeah,
you gone.
Definitely called an audible on that one, man.
Will Howard, 17 of 21, 231 yards, 2 touchdowns, a QBR rating of 99.1. Damn. Balled out. Saved his best.
The stat people aren't talking about, you're going to the passing line. It was 16 carries for 57 yards. I thought that was the major difference in the game. And a couple of those, in that last drive right before he threw to Smith, he basically looked like he was just trying to burn the clock. So a couple of plays that threw off the averages. But he was running the ball. He was making good reads. He was doing an excellent job being a field general.
Quinshawn Junkins, 11 carries, 100 yards, 9.1 average, 2 touchdowns, man. 2 touchdowns.
And 1 receiving.
1 receiving. Wow.
Yeah, he had a hat trick.
Yeah. He had it. Jeremiah Smith, 5 receptions, 88 yards, 17.6 yard average, 1 touchdown, and a game-winning catch that was just perfect. Did you see the way he seamed that route? Did you see that by chance? Did you?
Yeah, he was running that seam, just a subtle plant of the left foot.
Beauty.
It was incredible.
Anyone else that stood out to you on the receiving end? Carnell Tate, Emeka Buka was solid, just absolutely solid. Emeka Buka was, always, man. He's just like he's the dude. Like he's the leader of that receiving room. He might not get as many targets as Jeremiah Smith, but just a solid dude all around. Like every possible way, solid.
It's why
doesn't he have some kind of career record or something?
He did. He set the record for most receptions in Ohio State history last night, surpassing KJ Hill at 201. So now Emeka Buka has the all-time receptions record at Ohio State, and
that's got to be unbeatable, unattainable. No one else can get that.
Right? No. You'll find some 4-year wide receiver that's a scat.
Maybe some dude that just had the most receptions ever as a freshman.
Well, he's only going to play for 3 years, man. So that's the key.
Yeah, but 3 years of high productivity. I don't know, but I would venture to guess that Emeka Buka didn't have half his receptions his freshman year.
No, I just think it's funny how the number 2 wide receiver on this team, a guy that we just gloss over as 6 catches for 64 yards, has a run of 13. I know he fumbled, but that was a great defensive play.
Yeah,
he does,
and that's
all
something that
stuff. He's number 2 wide receiver, and then I say, okay, he's projected by every mock draft you're going to find to be picked in the 20s of the NFL draft. So the quiet number 2 wide receiver on your team is a consensus first-round pick by basically any NFL scout. That is incredible. You don't see that.
that speaks to Ohio State.
It speaks to
Ohio State. And to the type of teammate that man is. Just a man. He's a man. Crying on the field afterwards. The emotion.
He didn't whine or complain about being number 2. He didn't cry when there were games he had 1 reception for 13 yards because they were throwing to Tater Smith. He was a professional, high character, high motor. He's going to be a great asset for an NFL team.
Defensive stats. Cody Simon, 4 solo tackles, 8 total tackles, a tackle for a loss. Tui Molau, 5 tackles, 2 tackles for a loss, 1 sack. Sonny Styles, man, he had a great sack. 6 total tackles, 3 solo, 1 sack, 1 tackle for a loss. Had a game, man. Downs, 5 tackles. Tyleek Williams, 4 total tackles and a tackle for a loss. Dang. All the way down the line. Everyone, just great game. All around, awesome.
They did. I mean, I remember when it was the third quarter there, they threw that screenplay, and we had a chat going with a bunch of friends. We're just talking, Edric Houston, right? Just made a great field read on a screen pass that could have went deep, but instead went for 1 yard. I mean, it was a complete effort from senior to freshman, everywhere in between. It's what you need to do in a national championship game.
Yeah. Did you want to go answer this question yet? Can we get back to the locker room?
I didn't know if you wanted to break for a commercial, pay some bills, but
Dude,
we can get to it. I'm chomping at the bit to talk about this, man.
I'm not doing commercials on a national championship show. They can get their $100 back, man. I don't give a shit. Until they start really paying us, we ain't doing no commercials. Not for a national championship show. Some of the other people that care, I don't care.
For the record, for what it's worth, we are more than willing to do commercials for anybody who wants to come to us. So I want to be very, very clear about that. But
but it has to be something I really like. I'm not.
I like Dano's, man. I'm not gonna lie.
I do like Dano's. I love Dano's. I will eat the shit out of some Dano's.
I think you just baited me because Brandon asked a great question. You and I have very strong opinions around this question. So I'm going to leave it up to you. You're the captain of the ship, man. You want to do a commercial? You want to dive right into crazy?
I'm not doing commercials on a championship show. I'm sorry.
All right, then dive in.
Unless there's some technical difficulties. We're talking about Buckeyes being national champs the entire time. The entire time, dude.
Well, then I'm going to read. I'm going to read it from Brandon.
All right, you do it. Go for it.
You toss it back up to me.
Let's go.
So Brandon France asks us. He says, "Will the game lose its value considering all the debates of everyone saying that they'd rather have a national championship than versus beating Michigan OH?"
I like the OH. I don't even want to
go first. I'll let you go first.
I just want to say one thing. We can't give Michigan the time of day on this show, man. No one cares. No one cares. They're not even relevant. 8-5. Hello.
It doesn't matter. It's not. Yeah.
Hello. Last year.
You're going right into it, man. Just
go ahead. Say it. No. This is you. This is your question. Sorry.
I get it, man.
I saw a squirrel again.
The bar at Ohio State, which it always should have been, but is more so now than ever, is winning national championships. That is the only thing that matters to Ohio State moving forward. Is you need to be the number one team in the country in national championships. And I'd say at least 20th century and beyond. I don't care who won in 1869. Not overly concerned about that. If anyone wants to know, it was Princeton. But that needs to be where the bar is set. And I've talked to Steve quite a bit about this. A lot of debates early in the morning driving to work. One of the reasons the Ohio State-Michigan game meant so much to Buckeye fans, it was the difference as to whether you did or did not win a national championship. Prior to the BCS era, you can even go into the BCS era, you absolutely had to beat Michigan to have a chance to win a national championship. It made or broke your entire season. You can talk about Schembechler and Woody and the hatred there that obviously amplified it. But the facts are the facts. You lost to Michigan. You didn't win a national championship that year. Now you fast forward 2014 and beyond. You had maybe a hair of a chance, a slight margin of error. But the fact was you still ultimately did have to beat Michigan because you needed to get to that Big Ten championship game. There was a chance you could do it, but it was a very slim chance, especially if you were going up against a highly touted SEC conference, which they were in the teams. So again, you had to go back. You had to beat Michigan. You had to get to the Big Ten championship game to have a chance at a national title. Well, let's go to this year. This year proved that you do not have to beat Michigan in order to achieve the ultimate goal that you set out to. And as much as we don't like it, and as much as I want to beat Michigan in every single sport, every single year and everything, all I care about is how many national championships do you get? So yes, I think it loses significant value because your ultimate goal is winning.
Whoa. Not significant value. All right. So this is a new day and age. You have a chance to get there and win the championship. But this is still part of what we are as Buckeyes, part of what you are as a team up north fan. This is ingrained in us from the time we're born. This is part of our DNA. If you go out and splice some portions of my DNA, it says beat Michigan. I swear it to you. I swear it to you. It does. And it says that in my father's father. It says that in my grandmother. It says that in everyone I've ever known, minus the few, random Michigan fans. But it's part of us. It's part of who we are. And it's not going away, man. It still hurts to say that we lost to them. It still hurts. I feel it right here, man. And I'm pissed. But guess what? Raising that trophy made me feel a lot better. It made me feel a lot better, dude. And when I saw Ryan Day lift that up, and it made him feel better. It made the whole team feel better. It made Jack Sawyer feel better. It made all those guys feel better. Why do you think that it was like, this is what we had to do? The fact that they did lose to Ohio State made this, or that Ohio State lost to that other guy, that other team, the one that's irrelevant. ReliaQuest trophy. Go raise that up somewhere. No one cares. I don't even know what ReliaQuest is.
Nobody does. It's provocative, man. But let me ask you this.
But anyway, hey, it saved this team. And the reason it saved this team was because of the complete and utter disdain for that team up north.
Okay.
On any other season, we're not going to have a season like this again. This was different, man. This was special. You're not going to have this. You're not going to have that emotion. You're not going to have that roller coaster where we know from spring ball, from last year when everyone returned, this is a team of destiny. We got to win it. We're not going to know that and then lose to a team that, what were we, 19-point favorites? 20-point favorites? Double, man, that's almost 3 touchdowns. And we lost 13-10. And then we come back and win a national title. I don't think we're going to see it play out like that ever again. Because nowadays just different, man. They win a national title, their coach quits and goes off to the NFL.
Don't you be putting that in the universe, man. But let me ask you this.
Day's not doing that. Day wants to see his son graduate, man. Day's a family man and a great family man at that. And a damn good guy. A damn good guy. Doesn't deserve any of that bullshit that's going on. But I'm moving on.
Watching him hug his family right afterwards, that was really cool, man. Because
special.
It's been talked about. I'm not even going to use the phrase, Herb Street used because I don't care for it. But there are crazies in every fan base. We know it. They know it. And if anybody's ever saying one negative word to his wife or his children, get the hell out of here. Leave his family alone. Leave the man alone. We can talk about sports without getting into that.
Dude, so I think everyone's leaving his family alone now. All
they should have before, man.
Yes, agreed.
Agreed.
But now things are different. If anyone says anything to his family, they say 2025, baby.
If you ain't with them before, you ain't with them after, man. You leave your family alone. But I want to ask you this.
Look,
in 2020, January 2020, right after the 2019 season, are you feeling like you feel right now? In January 2020?
No, absolutely not.
How about January 2019? Are you feeling like you feel right now?
Absolutely not.
Okay. You demolished Michigan in the 2018 and 2019 season. Absolutely embarrassed them, wiped the floor with them. Harbaugh was 0-5, 0-6.
But do you know how I felt after that 19 game? What was it, 26-33? Sorry, 63 to, huh?
That was 2018. Was
2018
39 with a lot of garbage stuff. 2019 was 56-27. So the point I'm trying to make is great.
I butchered those numbers.
We're happy. You demoralized them. Harbaugh's 0-6 on the ropes, 0-5, 0-6. It didn't matter because guess what? You didn't win a national championship either of those years. That's the point I'm trying to make is in a perfect world, you beat Michigan, you win the Big Ten championship, and you win the national. I get it. Those are your 3 check.
Do you know where you were in 2018 in that game?
Yeah, I sat there.
I know where I was. I know who I was with. I know what I was doing.
I do the same thing every Ohio State Michigan game, so I know. But but it was good. But
It
again,
was awesome. It was awesome. And you know what?
as awesome as
Even
you
in
feel
all
today,
those years when Rich Rod sucked, he was terrible. Terrible up there, mainly because they didn't give him a chance, but terrible. And it still felt good wiping the floor with them. It still felt good when Urban Meyer was 7-0. And it's going to feel great when Day does it next year, too.
I think this was it. If you want, how do you get that proverbial monkey off Ryan Day's back?
He just did it. He got it off.
He just did it. And you know, something that you and I talked about quite a bit prior to the Michigan game, and I actually heard it talked about, Ryan Day was talking about it before this game, was you and I both agreed Ryan Day needs to have fun in the Ohio State-Michigan game. Beating Michigan is fun. Putting 62 and 56 on Michigan is fun. He doesn't have fun in that game. And he talked about before the Notre Dame game, go out and have fun. And I think that's starting to click and resonate that it's not about the pressure. You have the talent, you've prepared, you have the
Football's not that hard.
It's not that hard. We talked about it before the Smith
not
run.
that hard.
We talked about it. You,
that.
me, and our buddies talked about it. Like, throw the ball to Smith, get a first down. That's what we were talking about. And
you called it. Yeah. You called it. You were like, hey, you throw it to Smith right now. Throw it to Smith. And guess what they did?
But our whole chat,
I was like, I was freaking out, man.
But then
I was like,
we realized it's not that hard.
Like a lost puppy, first time outside, deep in the snow. I was like, they're going to run the quarterback again and end up losing this game. They're going to find a way to lose. And you know what? Chip Kelly was playing everyone, and he played me. Bring it up. I want those blitzes. I know they're coming, and keep going, keep going, keep going. Make them think I'm trying to run out the clock again and just take that shot deep. Boom.
If
Schooled
that is
everyone.
Actually real, what you just said.
Schooled everyone.
That is a mastermind. I don't think that's it. If you look when they go line up and he looks out, I mean, you have a safety playing on the right half.
That's what they were waiting for. That was the call.
I mean, it was it. It was one-on-one.
Yeah,
with a cover one zone with the safety on the opposite hash mark.
You don't have Henderson blocking like that. Did you see him?
He had an incredible.
The only dude that had a chance coming up the middle,
and he picked it up flawlessly.
And the way Henderson has blocked all year has just been a thing of beauty. Decleating people. He didn't this time, but man, that block was awesome.
Honestly, that may be the difference between being a third-round pick and a second-round pick, because NFL teams will tell every running back, no matter who they are, you have to pick up the run blitz.
You know who I want to sponsor us? I want a damn good coffee, man. But they have to send me the product.
Didn't we used to have Bones or something?
We used to have Bones, but I don't know what happened with Bones. Something weird happened with them, and I don't know.
Fair enough, man.
I don't know. Who cares about Bones?
Yeah.
Let's get on. All right. We're getting back to the locker room because we got a lot to talk about, and I'm going to be up late. Like I was last night.
I'm cool.
You get to read this one because the exec, you are like an exec. So go ahead, read it.
It just says season dissected. We win. I love it.
Yeah.
Short, sweet.
Give me that trophy.
Yeah.
Give me that trophy, baby. Damn, man, that was deep. I think it was talking about how our connection with Ohio State, that was a while back.
It was good, man.
We talked about the gold pants. The exec, you always get to read the exec because you sound like one.
Awesome,
just the way you talk.
Yeah, he talks about how the season was a blueprint for other programs and how to navigate and build the roster for a long haul. And we're going to get into this talk. We didn't want to get into transfer portal and 2025 season on this show. But I want you to stay tuned to some follow-up shows because we're really going to break down the transfer portal, not just at Ohio State, but the residual impact you're seeing around the Big Ten and the SEC and how it's really going to decimate depth.
All right. Well, yeah, I guess they need to tell us in the locker room, the offseason, what do you want to see covered? Like, what do you want to see on the show? Because we're here for the fans. I mean, that's why we do this. We're the pulse of the fans. In fact, that's our new thing. We're dissecting football, and we're the pulse of Buckeye Nation everywhere. The pulse of the fans across the nation. That might be our logo or slogan, if you will. All right, Richard, you might have some more on this because I haven't been paying attention to this at all. Just curious how television ratings and the money being pulled in all of these. What type of money are we pulling in? And I know Notre Dame's pulling more than everyone else because they're independent and they don't have to share it.
So winning the national title yields the Big Ten $21 million. So that does have to be disseminated amongst the 18 teams. I think it ended up being 1.2 or 1.3 because the talk was if Notre Dame wins.
I thought that was just if you make the playoffs.
I thought that was the national championship game.
Game. Yeah. Or winning it. I don't know what that does.
I don't know the breakdown of making the playoffs or each level. So we'd have to dive into that. I appreciate the question for the next show. As far as television ratings, I have not seen any television ratings at this time. However, I will say that was the second most attended national championship game. As far as
those will come out in a day or two, I believe.
Maybe tomorrow. I'd probably say tomorrow you'll get the official numbers. I would expect it to be incredibly high given the fan base of Notre Dame and Ohio State.
Doug. The black stripe has been removed. The first time Ohio State won a national championship when they were favored from the beginning of the season. Absolutely. We've always been the underdog. Then they changed it to 2. I don't remember what that was about, but the exec he's the man. Also, you're getting close. The exec's getting close to getting his black stripe removed.
He's with the young.
He's with the young.
I'm not following that trend, buddy.
I think these were late.
Yeah.
Brandon Innes had a solid grab. Absolutely.
He's very true about that. Innes had a great
someone asked Innes, I believe it was Innes, about the possibility of entering the transfer portal after the game. And he went up and was just like, I just need to go celebrate. Danced off that question. So more to come from that. Sloops. He's back.
Good to see
you. Good to see you, Sloops.
You know what's funny? You know who you haven't seen? Somebody who should be changing their name. I haven't seen him.
Yeah, I was looking for that. But maybe he's in the process of changing it. MFRD is his name for life, though. No matter what, his name gets changed too.
That could be the case, man.
All right. I hope Iggy works on his technique going into the offseason. Yes, we got to talk about that. We're going to go back to that. Steve, just let Vegas make you guys money. We were making money.
He's talking about the commercials, man.
I don't care. I don't care about the commerals. They don't deserve it. They don't
deserve
deserve to be played. There's more to talk about. No one's doing commercials. Do the commercials. We'll wait. Not happening. Not happening. Champs. I don't care about money. This is fun. And I've had too much coffee, so I got to talk. Champs, baby. Sloops is back.
Yeah, I mean, this is a great I don't GAF about Michigan, right? We're trying to keep it a little bit more on the up and up, but
No, I'm not. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, I know. That's fine.
About the whole state. And sorry, get you.
I know. And I think this is just where, again, we're both Ohio born, Ohio raised, being alumni and whatnot. I get it, but all I care about in whatever I do is being a champion, being the best of the best and getting that hardware in anything and everything you do.
Mm-hmm.
And no longer is that game going to be a component in that. I mean, we're all going to be really happy or sad. But
I'm trying to keep up with some of these comments, but there's a lot more than I thought. Great point, Steve. Yes, it was. I don't know what it was great, but it was a good one. All right. Talk to Jack Sawyer. He don't give a fuck. You're absolutely right about that. Back when I was a kid, there was only one team from a conference that could participate in a bowl game.
Yep.
This is why people are still in their feelings about the game. National championships rule. That's all that matters. It's all that matters.
He's right.
And
but that's where the hatred.
It's ingrained. It's ingrained in me.
Where the hatred comes from is because you lost that game. You had to watch the team you hate move on for a chance on a national title, and your entire season was done. That instills hatred, having to watch that. That's not the case anymore. So you can still want to beat that team, but also realize that in the grand scheme of things, the regular season's not the same as it used to be. In fact, go look at the Final Four. 3 of those 4 teams didn't play in a conference, or 2 of the 4, didn't play in a conference championship game.
I'm going to move on down to this one, and we'll come back. Doug Shepard, when I said that was deep, I was referring to Day winning the championship on the 37th anniversary of his father's passing.
That was
Yeah,
that was
deep. It was very
that
deep.
was deep, man. But it was destiny.
Mateo, it doesn't hurt because it made the game less
Yep.
relevant going forward. Think about it.
He's
Either
right.
team can lose the game now and make the playoffs. I agree with that.
Not even make the playoffs, win the
But you
national
can-
championship.
You could have done that before in the right scenario. You could have lost to that team up north, made it to the Big Ten championship game.
No.
And win the Big Ten championship game.
This was the first year without divisions. There was no way in the world you were losing that game and still being the Big.
If someone else
Big
had
Ten
2 losses
favorite.
or there was a tie, if there was a tie, a 3-way tie, you could have. You absolutely could have.
I mean, you would have had to have a scenario where Penn State beats Michigan. We can all pause and laugh about that happening. And then, Michigan beats Ohio State and Ohio State beats Penn State. Like, it would have had to have been a round robin like that. And I don't know what the tiebreakers are, but this was the first year where you can definitively say you could lose to Michigan and win a national title. Any other year, that's not the case.
All right. Ryan Day said at the press conference, when asked about turning over the play calling, said after the season was over, he got more involved in game planning. After the Michigan game, he did. I think he trusted his friend there, Chip Kelly, to make the right calls, but they talked together about it. Truth, Michigan sucks, and so does Johnny Olden. Champs. I don't know who Johnny Olden is.
Neither do I. I was waiting for you to tell me.
All right. I bet it. Someone's got to look that up and give us a little bit of that. All right.
And he did, but
let's give you for wearing your hat backwards. There we go. Thank you. I appreciate it. It's just my style, man. I look weird with my hat forwards, to be honest with you.
But I'll tell you,
the shadow doesn't work. But I got to cover this noggin, man. Can't have this big old bald head shining during a show. It just doesn't work. I promise you I won't wear sunglasses on the show, though, because that's just stupid. All right.
Yeah, you move on.
Move on to that. 100% for sure. Ignition Path podcast. I'm gonna have to check that out. I don't know what that's about. What is that about, man?
Yeah, give us a quick burn.
Give yourself a little shout out.
We'll read it off.
Yeah. As a folk musician in the late 60s, once sang, "The times they are a changing."
No, and I think I'll give you a second to go through some more comments, but I really want to.
That's it. We're done. We're caught up.
Well, no, I think Doug's made a great point, and this is something where this year caused a seismic shift in the way we perceive college football and think about it. We are programmed really up through at least through the BCS era, but even into the 14 playoff, that you absolutely must go undefeated to just feel good. You have one loss and it obliterates your season, and you're sweating it out on Selection Sunday to maybe possibly have a chance. That is absurd in sports. There is no sport on the planet where you absolutely must go undefeated in the regular season of anything to have a chance at a national title. No sport.
In water polo, you have to do that for sure.
Somebody fact check Steve there. I don't really buy it. But that's the thing is college football had this unrealistic precedent that you must go undefeated in your season to win a national title. No sport at any level requires that. And now, as fans, a great example this year is Oregon. We actually all believe that Oregon going 13-0 was probably detrimental to them. And it's not just because they lost to Ohio State. Ohio State had a magical run. But it was the adversity of the Oregon loss. It was the adversity of the Michigan loss that really brought this team together and galvanized them and brought the maturity and changes to the coaching staff needed in order to win it all. And Oregon may have been hurt by losing. Why don't you read about Ignition Path podcast while he's up?
They interview small businesses and entrepreneurs on their path. I'm going to just fill in the blanks to success, to growing, to expanding, to becoming what they want to be, to reaching that pinnacle, to lifting that gold-plated 22-pound trophy.
A little bit off script, but he also does comment about I'm sorry, I don't mean to use the wrong pronoun. The 12-team playoff has changed everything when it comes to wins and losses.
We don't have pronouns anymore.
Yeah, dude, I live in Seattle, man. Come on. But
right.
he's
Touché.
right. They're right. The 12-team playoff has changed everything. And now I think coaches are going to be coaching for this long stretch. You're talking August 30th to January 20th.
Yeah, we know you're a dude.
We didn't want to assume.
And I know that because of our demographic is highly dude. Mostly dude.
We're working on that, though.
Ladies, if you're in the show, Sloops, maybe you're a chick. I don't know. Making fun of me for my hat being backwards sounds like a chick thing. Just kidding.
Probably, yeah. Well,
I'm giving you a hard time. I love Sloops, by the way.
Absolutely. We love them. Yeah. But they're right. Ignition Path is right. This 12-team playoff, and we didn't get a chance to feel it this year because we were too caught up in it. But now that you've taken that step back, and you don't like this at all because we talked about it, but it is the truth. You are now moving to an NFL-style season where you don't, Kansas City Chiefs lost twice this year. That's an incredible year. Same with the Detroit Lions and all this stuff. Most NFL teams lose 2, 3, 4 games, even the elite teams. But if you also look at the NFL-style playoff, unless you're the 1 seed, you're playing 3 games in the playoffs. Seeds 2 through 7 play four games in the playoffs to win it all. Very similar to what you're seeing with the college football playoff. So that's where you're seeing the college football type environment moving a little bit more to that NFL style. And you're getting away from this. You must be perfect in order to win because no other sport adheres to that.
Going back to Iggy, he had 16 defensive penalties during the season.
Oh, God.
I wanted him benched. This is Mateo.
Yes.
I wanted him benched last night. That penalty when Leonard was throwing it away, inexcusable, totally inexcusable. I agree. He's all the fact though, and we talked about this in depth today in our morning phone call. If you don't know, I'm obsessive compulsive about this. So I call Matt on the dot when I know he's on the road, 7:30 in the morning.
Yep.
Sometimes 7.
Pretty much every morning.
I get a little excited and distracted, and I got a call sometimes at 7 while he's getting his kids ready to, go off for the day, making breakfast or whatever you do.
No, that's my wife, man.
But we talked about this and talked about this in detail because, believe it or not, Vegas was a quality defensive back in his day and played with me on a couple runner-up flag football teams in Columbus. We
fought hard.
Damn good. Yeah.
We fought hard.
Yeah. We fought hard. Got called a couple explicatives from being as good as we were.
Yeah.
I won't mention those.
Yeah, let's not repeat
on the show.
Yeah.
But all right, going back to Iggy. Yes, the most penalized player in the NCAA at one point. I don't know if he was. I'm gonna have to look that stat up for the next show.
Yeah,
but he seemed to always be in position, and we're gonna deep dive into the psyche of a defensive back here. Always in position, just has to grab. He has to pull. He has to get handsy, even though he's there. Dude's athletic as hell, man. He's in the right position. He just grabs. And what was your take on this? What are you thinking at the time? Why do you have to grab, man?
Because you're not in position. That's the whole argument is when you have that feeling as a DB where there's always a phrase with wide receivers, if you're even, you're leaving, right? So you instantly as a DB, you're always thinking, got to be a step ahead. And whenever you feel like that wide receiver maybe caught you on a break, or they caught you on a step and they're running that fade, your first instinct is that subtle grab. You want to be able to keep that guy as close to even. You want to be a half a step ahead ultimately. So when you look at that and you say, well, he's in position, you first have to start to wonder, is he in position because of technique, or is he in position because he's been holding all the way there? And what it's telling me with this handsiness is he is not trusting his footwork and his technique. And he is feeling in his mind, if I do not grab a hold of this guy, I'm going to lose him. I'm going to give up that explosive play. And Coach Knowles is in my head, don't give up the explosive play.
I felt that personally. I could not play DB. I could never play DB, man. I was just like, my mentality was run the damn ball. Like I was an offensive dude all the way. Unless it was like 3rd and long or 4th down, I was not playing defense. That was just not my MO. It's a hard position to play, and it is very mental. You have to be very confident, and you have to have a lot of practice. I've seen that where he's grabbed because he was beat, but I've also seen him in position where he just doesn't know what else to do but bear hug people or grab a jersey. He likes to get his hands on people even when he's in position. So I think maybe it harkens back to your mental case where he's just not confident in his own abilities. Even when he's in the right position, he's worried that he's lost.
He's worried that maybe the ball is a little bit past him or the receiver's 6 inches further away than he thought he was. He's not trusting his technique. And when you don't trust your technique and you're afraid of getting burned, that first instinct is to grab and hold.
I think he's worried about getting spit on. I think I think that hit him hard, man. Saliva in the face will do that to you.
I think that ship sailed on that, and it is, and I think it's a great point. In the fact you asked me today when I told you he's coming back, you were shocked. Yeah, he's a junior.
Yeah,
there's no way in hell he's declaring for the NFL draft, and that's where I started thinking about it a little bit more because you were seeing Burke at times throughout the season getting some PIs, getting a little handsy. You saw with Hancock quite a bit too. You're starting to wonder with Knowles if he's saying, "Listen, if you feel like you're beat, you grab the guy. It's college football. It's a 15-yard penalty. We're not going to worry about a spot foul until you get to the NFL."
Yeah.
So I wonder if that is a little bit a part of coaching as well, too. I'd have to go back and see what he did at Ole Miss. I know he only played 1 season there and see if he was doing that too. But I think you should be deeply concerned with Igbinosun coming back and whether or not he's going to perfect that technique.
Absolutely. All right. So we got Doug with the goods. 25 million viewers of last night's game. Impressive.
Very impressive.
Very impressive. Classic case. We had wait. Before we get to this, didn't you hear Herbie say something about one of those holdings where what was your take on that, man?
It was funny to me because we were going to save it about Herbie later, and I just thought Kirk Herbstreit was amazing.
No, we'll talk about that.
I know. I'm setting the stage for later. I do want to give kudos. I thought he was absolutely amazing last night. We're going to talk about it. But during that penalty on Igbinosun was watching the Jumbotron and was waving his hand off. And Herbstreit said, what are you waving off for? It was a penalty. And he said it live on the broadcast. And my first thought is that's not something a commentator, especially the ultimate professional that Kirk Herbstreit is, that's not something a commentator says. That's something a dad says. That's something a father or a fan or somebody says that's holding a team accountable and saying you're better than that. You were wrong. And my first thought is that's something my dad would say to me. He'd be like, "Why are you throwing your hands up, Matt? That was a penalty. Play better." And that it kind of really resonated with me at that time. That he's got a son on the team. This is still his team. As professional and as hard as he tries to be unbiased, that leaked out as, my goodness, he really does still care for a lot of reasons. But it was really cool.
He's a Buckeye through and through.
He is, man, and it showed, and we'll get into that later. But I thought him making that comment on Igbinosun when he clearly committed a penalty, I thought that was really cool.
Really, really cool. Absolutely. All right, classic case. We wanted a bigger playoff picture for years. Now we're seeing what happens when you get what you want, and we all need to accept and understand the Natty is the mountaintop.
Amen.
Like and it is. We climbed that.
And mission spot on. And it's funny, dude. I think we're going to see some stories in the offseason. ACC's already come out with it, where you could see changes and overhauls to the conference championship game.
Oh, they already said that they're debating it now. There was an article, I believe it was on ESPN.
It was earlier this week. Yep.
We go to 16 and we see Ole Miss in the playoffs. We see Alabama in the playoffs. Three losses is hard for me. I get 2, and I thought 2 is a good drawing point where you say enough's enough. I don't want to get to 16. It waters it down a little bit, but I didn't want to get to 12 either. I thought we should go 8 to start. I didn't think going from 4 to 12 was appropriate, but hey, I loved every minute of this. It was a great move. A great move.
I'm all in favor of 16, but what they will have to do is get rid of the conference championship game. I think it is ridiculous. I don't think there's a point to it. It's a pure cash grab. That's all it is. There's nothing any better way to say it than a cash grab. And I don't know if they're willing or able to give that up unless you can figure out what the 16-team playoff. Can you get a couple more playoff games, divide the pie up amongst the teams?
That's a talk for another show.
I know.
We'll talk playoffs probably at our next show, and the structure of the playoff.
Can tell us,
at the next show. But let's talk Herbie, man. Seeing that emotion after the game, I talked to you about it, and I was like, man, he picks and chooses his battles when he lets his emotions get the best of him, and he did that, man. He did that. He is a Buckeye, man. He's a legend in Buckeye Nation. Whether you want to believe it or not, whether you think he had a rift with Coach Tressel for whatever reason it was, and that was behind the scenes that I don't know of, but he gave the Buckeyes a hard time. And you know why he gave them a hard time? Just like me and you, he held the Buckeyes to a higher standard and expected excellence. When we ran Tressel ball, it infuriated him. He wanted something where he could go over to his SEC buddies and say, hey, look at this offense, man. But it was hard. Some of those games where Tressel needed a matchup and football was evolving, I think, in front of Tressel's eyes to a more high-powered offense into what it is today. That's where I think his head was at. I don't know for sure, but that's my assumption. But he's the ultimate professional, like you just said. The dude is the voice of college football. He is quite honestly the voice of college football. He is college football.
Yeah.
And seeing him interview with his son before the game, talking back and forth, you're gonna get on what your thoughts were from the senior tackle day. But the dude, he cried on national television because he was happy. Not only happy as a Buckeye, as a former quarterback, as the son of a captain at Ohio State. He cried because his son was on that team, man. His son just won something that you can never take away from him. His son is going to have that ring on his finger, man. And Buckeye Nation, his Buckeye blood bleeds deep, man. Some of us, it doesn't get quite down to the heart like it does with him. And it definitely does, man. He's an ultimate professional, but when it really boils down to it, man, dude, he's Buckeye all the way, man. Stop giving him shit. He tries. He tries to respect everything about college football because that's his job. That's what he does.
Yeah. And he has to. That's what he's paid to do. That's what he's built College Game Day on from scratch. Is you cannot go on that show, be the voice, the face of college football for ESPN and everything they've done, and be biased. You cannot. That's why you have, the
Desmond Howard.
That's
why he's there.
I was thinking
to be that aloof.
I was thinking of the linebacker Pollock, right? And you had people like Mark May in the past. You've had other people,
Trev Alberts.
You have all these. I don't want to call them secondary. That's not fair. But you've had all these
clickbaiters
that can be biased. They can be that, and they're playing that part, that role on the show, and they're playing it extremely well. I'm not going to knock Desmond or anything else for what he does. Kirk Herbstreit is above that, and he has to be, because that's the position ESPN has put him in, and he has earned it through 30 years of work. Even doing NFL games, he's the exact same way. He has absolutely earned that right to be in that position. However, when you say what a true professional he is and how he has gone out of his way to be unbiased for 3 decades and every single thing that he has done, to see him on national television being interviewed by Scott Van Pelt after the game, crying those tears of joy, you said that's a father and a Buckeye. And I think anybody who's a parent and who's a Buckeye,
it resonates.
Hit you. It resonated throughout. And what I think really
it's giving me chills right now.
Because you've seen this. And again, everyone's going to go back to the lunatic fringe comment in the blowout game of Tennessee.
That was a lunatic fringe. And who cares?
That was a comment made out of emotion. And again, I wasn't at senior tackle, obviously. I was not part of that. And he's kept that pretty close to the vest, as they all do. I firmly believe he went into senior tackle. He spent some time with Coach Day and everybody, and he saw the vitriol in the anger of this team, of this fan base, because they were not living up to expectations. And he saw how much that hurt these seniors, this coaches, and this team that he loves, and this university that he loves. And he knew he had one shot. This team had one shot to erase all of that, to pull off the improbable. And he did it. He pulled off the improbable. Coach Day did. And I think having to see the raw emotions of seniors, one of your own children being a part of that conversation at a university you love, facing all this adversity, and you overcome it, I think that's where those emotions came in. And I think we have to differentiate and say you can admire and respect the professionalism, and at times he's going to have to bash Ohio State because that's the unbiased nature of his job, and respect it. And then you go to that post-game interview and see him crying tears of joy because his son and his team won a national title, and see the human element of that. And you just tip your cap to Kirk Herbstreit. Hell of a job.
I think you're right. Yeah, he saw that behind the closed doors, kind of like what the Woody really is. Like, not too many people get to see that. It's the family, the players, the support staff. They get to see what really goes on behind closed doors. Let's get to Mateo.
I love this moment.
If Mbuka doesn't fumble, the game's final score is 45-14. That was heartbreaking, and Mbuka did everything right this year. Everything right. And we go back. Emeka did everything right.
I want to talk
entire
about that
time.
for a second.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
Before you get to your dissection of it, the one thing that you got to keep in mind is this team forced the most turnovers of any team in the nation. That was their DNA. That was how they got to where they were at. We gave one at the end of the game. One.
Yep. It was.
And that was a damn good play. A great tackle. Not much you can do. Sometimes that just happens. I think he was kind of switching the ball back and forth because he was trying to make a big play. And it's just instinct. When that stuff happens, it's instinct. You're not thinking. You go back to what you did for years in practice. Like, there's no thoughts. It just happens. And maybe he didn't tuck the ball tight enough when he got in traffic. Me, when I get in solid traffic, I want to see everyone have two hands over the ball, no matter what they're doing. Cover that ball high and tight, get it up top, and then cover it with your other arm. That's what I like to see, especially running across the middle of the field. But I don't blame him, man. What I blame is the approach after that is what I blame. And we talked about, we have a thread going on. I think I'm probably going to post some of it probably on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it. I just got to black out some of the names. But the sideline was, before that even happened, one of the guys in our thread was like, this sideline is acting like they've already won.
Yeah.
They are not ready for a dogfight. And then it became a dogfight.
Yeah.
Real quick. And then they tried to run the clock out too early. You play your game. Pedal to the floor. Keep playing it, because the time's going to run itself out eventually. If you keep scoring, there's nothing they can do. Like, maybe you don't take shots downfield, and maybe you don't do, like, you do a little bit more conservative approaches, passes that you know you're completing, but you still play to win the game. You always play to win the game.
No,
until it's 5 minutes or under. It's science. Those are stats. That's analytics.
You don't even change anything. You literally go out and you run your exact same offense. You don't think,
you're right,
I'm going to switch that 15-yard out to a 5-yard hitch. You don't think that way anymore. You've already lost that. You have to consistently do that, because by going up, 38-7 or 45-7, you in essence let the time run out by making the lead insurmountable, mathematically impossible to come back from. That's how you actually wind down a clock. If you think that you're going to wind down the clock by running 3 running plays at 40-second play clock, you're not going to do it. You're going to lose that game playing that prevent. Our chat was blown up about that, but it was right. You don't switch that mindset. Go back to the Falcons-Patriots Super Bowl when the Falcons are up 28-3 and they completely shifted their mindset. Guess what? Tom Brady wins another Super Bowl. I mean, you see it all across football. But so I agree. It was really just perplexing there towards the end. But I do want to get back to your Buka call because you talked about this. You talked about this before the game about you wanted to see that motion come back and you wanted to see some of the counter stuff come back. As I watched that play develop, they ran the same formation in the first quarter. However, the ball went from the left to the right. They went because it was
a great play.
Jeremiah Smith was lined up on the left, and you see Quinshawn basically line up right behind him in motion and then come back. And it was so obvious that I saw it a second time. And I'm like, wait a second, I've already seen this play before. But then they reversed course on it with Ibuka. It was an absolutely set up in the first quarter, hit that knockout punch in the third quarter play. Everything about it was great. Listen, the defender had a clean punch on the ball. And when a linebacker has a clean punch on a ball, I don't care how strong you are, more often than not, that ball's coming out. It was just a hell of a defensive play.
Great play.
But I wanted to give credit to Chip Kelly because not only was it a brilliant play call, but it was a brilliant play call because he set it up in the first quarter. So,
and Doug, he thought watching the game last night, Day was taking it easy on Freeman. I saw Tate and Smith with man-on-man coverage without a safety over top. I think he was going drain the clock mode.
I think he's even talking, I think too, I was surprised at the lack of deep shots overall in the game. I think to your point, you were now I do want to say in the first drive, there were 11 plays. 9 of the 11 were zone. So they instantly said, we're going to play man no matter what. And then what do you do? 81+% of your plays on the first drive are zone. So you instantly have shown that switch. So I think Ohio State did need to adapt to that a little bit. But to Doug's point.
Didn't I tell you that that's what they were going to do? They were going to go man to man for a while. And then they're like, well, we got to switch.
No, the first drive was zone. No, the first drive, 9 of the 11 plays were zone coverage. They articulated it on the set on the first drive of the game for Ohio State. Now they did play a lot more man throughout the game, but they came out showing zone after chirping all week about how they were going to play.
I do remember they said zone won't work a couple times on the broadcast. Man won't work. What are you going to do?
But that was the difference between the Texas game and the Notre Dame game is Texas had the ability to get pressure up the middle with a 4-man front. Notre Dame wasn't doing that unless they were bringing pressure. And again, at Ohio State with man-to-man blitz, the wide receivers should have been eating that up, and they did by and large.
Are you ready to go to commercial? We've been talking for almost an hour and a half straight. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. We're not going to commercial. It's not happening. I think a couple more things. First of all, did you see the golf cart incident?
No, I do not know what you're talking about.
Oh my goodness, you missed that? I'll send it to you. So everyone gets in the golf cart, takes it off the field. They're trying to get the national championship team, mostly the guys that they're going to have up in the press conference, trying to get them off the field quickly, right? So they do. And this girl driving the cart, it's a long extended cart, gets there, tries to go around the curve in the hallway, getting these guys as quick as they can up to the press conference. Well, she makes that curve and doesn't quite make the curve, backs up a little bit, gets in a little Austin Powers situation, and then slams the gas into the wall. Boom, everyone goes forward. Will Howard has his phone out. He's like texting someone or looking at plays and slams forward. Day, I guess his neck was hurt, man. Like legitimately hurt. And they all hop out of the cart and they're trying to get the golf cart, fixed around. And it looked like its tire was broke. Like the axle had actually broke. And
Yeah,
they
they're
all
not
walk
built
off.
for
No
that.
one was getting back in that cart. They were, no, we're fine. We'll walk. It was great.
Yeah.
It was
I
awesome.
feel sorry for that
Funny.
young
I
lady.
feel-
I'm sure
I
she was
do- yeah,
embarrassed.
I think everyone feels
Yeah.
bad for her. That was not her day. The girl ran away after crashing the golf cart, as if she has warrants.
I'm sure she felt terrible, man. Yeah.
She did. There was a video of it that got the extended view, and afterwards she was just back there looking at it like, I can't believe this just happened to me. Like, I can't believe that just happened. I just got the
Wow.
national championship coach and the quarterback into a wreck in the stadium. Crazy.
Good thing it happened after the game and not before the game, right? So
Yeah, absolutely.
it ends well, man.
But anyway, I don't think there's anything else we got to go over. A little bit from the locker room that was good, and man, we are national.
No, I think we want to reiterate this. One, we are national champions. That's important to add. But two, as we get into this offseason, there are a lot of topics Beav and I we talk about and are willing to go through. But we really want to hear from you all on X, on Instagram, on YouTube. We're probably going to go do one show a week now in the off season. Ohio State basketball, big.
The draft. I lost you, I believe. All right. Well, I got this. Great plays last night. First TD throw to Jeremiah Smith was probably my favorite. Absolutely. Great play design. And actually liked that Mbuka play too. Absolutely. Bringing the goods, brother. You are pausing like crazy. Yeah, you're cutting in and out. So we're going to end this show, on a good note. And we're going to play that intro again because I personally, it got me, man. OH, baby. OH.
No great accomplishments are ever achieved without going through adversity.
To present to you the 2025 College Football National Champion, Coach Ryan Day and the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Ohio against the world.
Oh, come, let's sing Ohio and song to alma mater. While our hearts rebounding through, and joy which death alone.
Playing this play, you move Jeremiah Smith and you come back to him. Notre Dame completely loses him, but it happened.
Tennessee and Oregon.
And they play that tonight. Judkins breaks free. Quinshon Judkins into sprint.
The
And they'll finally run him down at the
time and change will surely show how firm thy friendship. Ohio.
Wow. Gets me every time. Thank you for joining us, Buckeye backers across the nation. We are Buckeye backers. That is Vegas, Matt, all the way from Seattle. We're bringing you the goods across the nation. I'm Buckeye Steve in Enon, Ohio, the cornfields of Enon, Ohio. We're bringing you everything in between. We are the pulse of Buckeye fans everywhere. God bless you all. But one last thing. We're the national champs. The reign in the state up north is over. We are the kings of college football. But I just want to say, God bless you Wolverines too. Have a great year. We'll see you next time. God bless. We are out. Peace.